The rule is at 18, you pay rent or you get out. Her daughter moved in with her aunt for free. Now, this mom is pissed at her sister for undermining her parental lesson.
Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Omomi, aka Petite Diva, and in this video we're discussing whether children that have reached the age of 18 or just finished high school should pay rent in their parents' house or in the family house. So quite a few people had things to say about whether children who have reached the age of 18 or have finished high school should pay rent to their parents to stay in the house that they probably lived in since they were a baby. And the responses were very varied. So let's check it out, then I'll come back to share my thoughts.
Her rule is at 18, you pay rent or you get out. Her daughter moved in with her aunt for free. Now, this mom is pissed at her sister for undermining her parental lesson.
Charging your child rent as soon as they hit 18 is crazy. Because whether they're still in high school or trying to get into college or trying to figure something out, they likely do not have that kind of money. How about something like this? I'm going to act like I'm a parent talking to a child that's about to turn 18. You're turning 18 soon, which is a great thing. You're stepping into a new sector of life, but things do start to get more serious and intense. Things are going to pick up really quick with what you decide to do in life, but I do want you to contribute to the household if you plan to stay here. Financially, I know you might not be there yet, so let's talk about some things that you can do around the house or in the household that can make things easier for everybody. That way we're doing an equal load. And when you do get a job and you get stable, consistent money, I do want to discuss possibly contributing monthly. And your contribution is going to be paying for parts of electricity, water, Wi-Fi, etc. But we can have a more in-depth conversation about that once we get to that point. That's that. Before that group of people comes in here talking about, oh, y'all's generation is so soft. At 18, I had 5 jobs and I was across the country mining in the oil fields. We don't care. We don't care that you've had a 401k since you were 15 years old. We do not give a damn. You shouldn't have had to do that. Everybody should have supporting, loving, graceful parents. Y'all know I'm an advocate for adult children staying at home. I'm an adult child at home, and it's a lot of adults at home with their parents. And it's a lot of adults that's not at home with their parents that wish that they could be at home with their parents. Because not only is it less stressful financially, but you have community and support right there. That's if your family is supportive and they are a community for you.
The rule is at 18, you pay rent or you get out. Her daughter moved in with her aunt for free. Now, this mom is pissed at her sister for undermining her parental lesson.
So yeah, I've had that happen to me. My foster parents took care of me when I was 9, and they took guardianship of me when I was like 16. By the time I was 18, 19 years old, that's when they threatened to kick me out. And I called them on their bluff because they were serious. And so I was just like, I'm not going to stay here and wait out the clock. I'll just leave. And yeah, that's what happened. And let me promise you this. To every parent that decides to do this simply because they want to get rent out of them or teach them a lesson, it's never going to work out. Once that kid leaves, you better be prepared to never hear from them almost ever again. I didn't talk to my foster parents who raised me, who I considered my parents at this point, for 7 years. I didn't talk to them for 7 whole years, and I was completely content with that. And the thing was that I was so angry. I did not give a damn about what happened to them in those 7 years. I did not care if they died the next day. The thing was that I felt so betrayed by my own people that I trusted. These were my family. This was my actual family. And they just dropped me like a hot potato. And so, parents, be prepared to, when you drop that lesson, to never hear from them again. And to the parents who are still considering about doing this, be prepared to end up in a home where your only alarm clock is the cockroaches eating at your bed sores.
Charging your child rent as soon as they hit 18 is crazy.
I actually have a story about one of my friends from high school whose parents told him, when you turn 18, you need to start paying rent or you're getting kicked out. he actually turned 18 in high school. And this kid was an honor student, AP classes, tons of extracurriculars, the whole deal. He was gonna go to a good college. But he was in high school with no job, so his parents kicked him out. He turned 18 maybe like at the beginning of senior year. So after that, he was kind of just couch surfing. The worst part was that he couldn't apply for colleges because he had no money. This was 13 years ago, and the last that I heard, he was working at a nightclub. Parents like this really fuck up the trajectory of their kid's life, and it's horrible.
I mean this from the bottom of my heart. Parents who charge their children rent, you're sick. You're sick. I don't care what the context is. No. How were you making do before? Unless you need it in your heart of hearts and soul of souls, I get it. I get it. That's the context, I get it. But those of you who don't need it, and just being greedy and you're going on holiday, you're doing this, it's refund from when you were a child. I didn't ask to be here. I didn't ask to be here. I didn't ask to be here. On top of that, if I'm paying rent in this house, I should have more freedoms because I give you money. More freedoms. It's like I'm living by myself at this point. So why would I allow you to control me even more? I should just go somewhere else and pay rent. Doy. One thing about my mother, she would never charge us for rent. You can give her money if you want. If she needs money, she'll ask, but she'd never expect monthly payments in by way of rent. Never. Because the way she sees it, this world is already difficult enough. So why would I make it even more difficult for my child? When you can be saving money and start off your life good, and then you can have a good life and then help me later in retirement. I'm joking.
Hot take, parents should charge adult children living at home rent. I said what I said, and before you roast me, I'm Vivian, your rich BFF and your favorite Wall Street girly, and I'm gonna explain why. 1, without stating the obvious, when you move home and you're not paying rent, you're going to have more discretionary income, and some people aren't spending that responsibly. Per this headline, people moving home are fueling a luxury boom, and while some pieces are investments, most will go down in value, and it's not fair to throw your money into a pit when someone else is covering your necessities. And 2, for parents, as you get older and rely on things like pensions, 401ks, and retirement savings, having an adult kid move back home can increase your fixed costs for things like utilities and groceries. Aaron Lowry at Bloomberg said it best, not only does paying your parents rent help them keep their costs managed, but even if parents don't need the money and want to help a kid out, collecting rent monthly could be an easy way to force kids into saving versus blowing their paycheck on a Gucci belt that they don't really need. Ideally, this will help get the kiddo out of the nest on their 2 feet and paying their own rent sooner rather than later. Parents should charge adult children living at home rent. I said what I said.
My parents started charging me rent as soon as I got my first job, and let me tell you, I hated it. I could not stand it. And it wasn't even that much because I wasn't that old, but I still had to pay that bill every month, and it was not cool because I could have spent that on everything else. But as an adult, let me tell you, is the best thing they could have done for me. And I would 100% do this for my kids. And I think a lot of other people would be better off financially if this had happened to them, because I learned a lot about money management. And now, as a young adult, I have really good money managing skills because I learned how to do these things at a pretty young age. And I think it's healthy. I think it's good.
So apparently it's not normal for you to pay your parents rent. I always get this look when I bring it up, and I always get this line, my parents would never make me pay rent. My parents wouldn't make me pay rent even if they were struggling. No matter what age I'm at, my parents would always help me and not ask for anything back. I had to pay my mom rent, but if I lived with my dad wouldn't have asked for anything. My mom always told me that I'd need her before she needed me, and I'm starting to realize that those are the parents wanting you to fail, and they kind of want you to need them. All my sisters were gone, and it was only me in the house, and I asked my mom for lineage 1 month so I could move to Austin and get my car. She responded with, rent is still paid. You still need to pay rent. Did she need it? No. But obviously I had to do what I had to do to stay there because I didn't have anywhere else to go. And rent started when I gave my mom $50 to do her nails, and she realized I had money, and then she started making me pay rent. But I always get those lines. I'm always reminded that that shit wasn't normal. It's not normal. And my mom was like, you'll understand when you're a parent. Well, first off, I'm not struggling as a parent. Secondly, I would not make my son pay rent. If he needs me, he needs a place to stay, I'm going to help him build his credit, his bag, whatever it may be, so he can get back up on his feet. My mom made it extremely hard for me to get a car. Like, she was just, rent was always due, and like, it was just really hard to keep up with rent and saving and food. I had to pay for food all at once. Yeah, those are the parents wanting you to fail. They're not wanting you to go anywhere. Instead, they want to be this like selfish person and want somebody to need them. And if you look at those parents, they're very narcissistic. Very narcissistic. Money hungry, putting themselves first instead of their kids. Anyway, now that I'm about to be a mom, I can officially say I will never be a parent like you.
I don't think no parent should make their kid pay rent unless they over 25 and ain't doing nothing with their life. I'm not making my kids pay rent. Go to school, get a job, build up, save so you can do whatever. But if you irresponsible with your money, you not finna live with me till you 30 years old because you blowing your money on everything. Then what I'm supposed to do? Continue to let you do that?
16-year-old's parents make him pay for his car, gas, and bills, and now they want him to pay 15% of his income as a tax for rent. The teenager called into the Ramsey show saying that his parents don't contribute any money towards his expenses. And because of this, he works a part-time job that has him working 12 to 13 hours a day, 3 to 4 days a week. He is also still in school full-time. He funds his whole lifestyle, including even some of his food, and now his parents have decided that he can't live in their house rent-free. While teaching teenagers financial responsibility is important, there are ways to do it that don't involve them having to live their lives as premature adults. And while the current economy does have many adults struggling to make ends meet, it still doesn't mean that a 16-year-old should have to navigate paying rent for a place in their own home. Apparently, this boy's father has argued that it isn't fair that he is the only one that should have to provide for the family while he has working children. But what this father doesn't seem to understand is that that's simply part of the role of parenthood. You're providing emotional and financial support to your children, not expecting them to shoulder adult responsibilities before they're ready. Children shouldn't have to owe their parents for basic necessities or feel they need to repay them for their upbringing. And whether parents want to believe it or not, this kind of behavior is why so many kids go no contact with their parents once they're out of the house. Childhood is not a debt to be repaid.
We charge our kids rent and utilities. Each week they get paid $6. $1 per week is expected to go toward their expenses. We charge them each $1 for rent, $1 for groceries, and $1 for utilities on the first of each month. They track it on their budget trackers, and other spending or categories happen after those payments. They set that dollar in a separate envelope for utilities, and then at the beginning of the next month we charge them for their bill. We want them to learn about expenses and bills in a safe environment now.
Unbelievable.
Feel free to follow along for more kids' personal finance.
I saw a TikTok recently where a mom makes her kid cook lunch every day for themselves.
Maybe this is something I'm going to do with my kids. I think it's great. Financial literacy is a huge problem in our country. And I think the earlier you get started, the better off you're going to be. Hats off to her. I think it's amazing.
I thought I was doing a good job by teaching them how much tips cost and how much different things cost along the way. But there's so many of these things I missed. This is a really smart one. Wish I would have done it with my kids.
Now, the concept of children paying rent when they clock 18 or after they finish high school is kind of strange to me as a Nigerian, as an African. Now, I get that in the US, some children already have jobs, like small jobs they're doing while they're in high school and are also after high school. So like working at McDonald's and supermarkets, a lot of children have the opportunity to get jobs. Now, from the Nigerian perspective, it's not that easy for a lot of kids after high school to get jobs, even if it's the small jobs. Some people get it, some people don't, and some people, some families will say that their child should go straight from high school, secondary school to university, and a lot of parents will not want their children to work while they are in school. So that concept of getting a job after high school is not like the norm for almost every household or every child. Now, for the woman that told her child that if she wants to stay in the house, she has to pay, and the child decided to move out and went to her auntie's place, who said she should stay in her house for free, and then she's now getting offended. I don't know why she's getting offended. You gave your child an option: stay in my house and pay rent, or move out. The girl moved out and went to her auntie's house, your sister, and you are vexed, you are angry that your sister decided to house your child. Did she expect the child to sleep under the bridge or sleep in a homeless shelter if she could not afford to pay rent? Even if she can afford to pay rent, but someone is giving her free accommodation, why should she not take it? She can save the money that she was supposed to pay for rent and use it for something else. And I'm sure that that kind of mother would also expect the daughter to take up loan or to pay for her own college education. So I don't understand why she's angry at her sister for housing her daughter, because it doesn't make sense to me. Now, like I said, as a Nigerian, the concept of children paying rent to their parents, especially after they've become 18 or they finish high school or secondary school, is strange to me. I only knew it when I started learning about American culture. I don't even know if it is something that is done in other Western countries. If it's done in other Western countries, please indicate in the comment section, because based on my little knowledge, it's only America that I've seen that this occurs in. Any which way, like I said, in Nigeria is a strange concept. In Nigeria, even the concept of moving out after school is still looked upon in a particular kind of way, especially if you are a girl. If you are a girl, you're expected to stay in your parents' home until you are getting married. So you leave when you're getting married. Now, there are some exceptions where children may leave the house. Like if where they got a job is very far from their family home, they might get a place close to their job. If they are going to another state, if they are relocating to another country, it is accepted, it is allowed, but the home will still be the home. So anytime they are coming home, anytime they need to come home, there's no question of I cannot come home, I cannot stay for a month, I cannot stay for 2 months if I'm struggling. That is not a problem. So most times you don't have to worry about your parents saying you should pay rent or anything. Now, personally, I believe that any child that has grown up to 18 or is working and is still staying in their parents' house, even if you are not paying rent, because most of the time in Nigeria, like I said, they won't tell you to pay rent. But I feel like that such children should contribute to the running of the house. So you're contributing to bills, you're contributing to grocery money and the rest, and any other thing that is needed to run the house perfectly or run the house well. Now, that is what I feel like parents are supposed to like talk to their kids about. Like if the child is already earning money, you can talk to the child and say, okay, you should contribute towards the electricity bill or the food, especially if they are guys, because I know guys will eat a lot. So I don't feel like you should just be eating your parents' food, especially as you might not be going out all the time, you might not be going to school. I feel like you should at least contribute something to the running of the house. I don't think that a child that's earning money, even though you're not paying rent, should not do something, should not add something to the house. You're supposed to contribute money because you're earning money, and also do the house choice because you're staying in the house. I just feel like they should contribute towards the running of the house, so paying part of the bills is not a bad idea. If the light bill is like $300 per month and you are earning like maybe $800 per month, you can contribute $50 to $100 per month towards the electricity bill, and you can contribute like maybe $50 to $100 towards the grocery and other things. It's not a big percentage, but it will help the parents. So I feel like that's what should be done instead of paying of rent. Now, some people have brought up the concept of telling their kids to pay rent, and then when they are moving out, they will give them all the money that they've paid for rent as a gift to help them establish themselves in their new place. I feel like that concept is good, especially for kids that don't have like good financial discipline or good saving habit. That will help a lot. But I feel the better option, in my own opinion, this is my own opinion, would be to talk to the child and say, okay, I'm going to be collecting so percentage of your salary. It will be like rent, but I will give it back to you when you want to move out and get a place, and I'll also match a certain percentage of all that you saved. So you are going to add a certain percentage to what they've saved, and then you give them when they are leaving the house, so when they are moving to a place of their own. So I think that would establish the fact that, okay, you are not collecting rent, you're just helping them to save money for their place. and that would be, I think that would be a better communication and better, it will look better than saying your kid is paying rent. And I feel like because you're saying you're going to match a certain percentage, it might be 50, it might be 25, it might be 100, they are going to be more inspired to be giving you the rent money. So I don't know, I think that's a better option in my own opinion. I don't know what you guys think about this whole rent thing, this whole children paying rent after they become 18 or they finish high school. I just think the concept is somehow, because it looks like you're just saying that your child is no more your child because the child has become 18. You're treating the child like another adult, and I don't think that's a good mentality. I don't think that is a good concept. I know a lot of people say, yeah, but my parents did it, but I don't think it's the right concept to have. I'm sorry that things are that difficult that you have to be saying your child to pay rent, but the child was there all along. When the child was under 18, you never collected rent. Now, because the child is 18, you just think, oh, this is an adult. I don't buy it, but I get some people don't have a lot of finances, but still, it's your child. Please. The child is 18, does not mean it's not a child. It's still a child. At 18 in the US, you cannot still drink alcohol. Meanwhile, in a lot of other countries, you can drink alcohol, you can do everything, you can be everything. But still, in a lot of other countries, even when you're 60, you're 70, and your parents are still alive, you are still a child to them because you're still your child. So the concept of saying 18, you're already grown up, you're an adult, you are not my child, I don't have to do anything for you, is weird to me, and as a Nigerian, as an African. But I don't know what you guys think about this whole topic. Do you think that parents should be collecting rent from their kids immediately they turn 18 or after they finish high school? Do you think that the concept of collecting the rent and then giving the child back is a better option than just collecting rent? So I don't know what you guys think about this whole concept of parents collecting rent from their children immediately they clock 18 or after they finish high school. If you are in another country apart from the US where this concept is practiced, please leave the name of the country in the comment section. I would love to know other countries that practice this concept. If you are in a non-US country where this is not practiced and where this is frowned upon, I would love to know the country, so please leave it in the comment section. I don't know what you guys think about all that's been said about this topic. If you have any comments about the topic, please leave it in the comment section so that we can get this discussion popping. Now, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you are not yet subscribed and you like videos such as this, please consider subscribing by clicking on the red button that says subscribe, and don't forget to click on the bell notification icon by the side so that you're notified anytime I upload videos. Now, with all that said, thank you so much for watching. I hope to see you in the next one. Bye.